Life update video. This one is going to be a lot. That's all I'm gonna say. This is going to be a lot. So, I'm not the most, emotionally stable for the most part. Like, I've always felt very sensitive. I've always felt really drained when I push myself to the limits, because I always push myself to the limits. But I always kind of regroup from that really relatively quickly. Um, I mean, I think I regroup from it relatively quickly. I mean, I've always felt like I could just push myself, and in time I would feel better. I would regroup from that. Um, well, it finally caught up to me, or it's just everything that I'm going through right now. But back on Wednesday, May 1st, I just. I think I mentioned this. I think I mentioned this. It's just been. I'm just gonna mention it again, even if I did mention all this, because it's just been, nonstop. So, Monday, or May 1st, whatever day that was, Wednesday, I just felt like I couldn't take it anymore. A lot of dark thoughts. I self-harmed myself, just slapping my face with the intent of harming myself. That happened Wednesday, May 1st. Then I came back also on Thursday, May 2nd. Um, yeah, I had those thoughts again. Friday, my aunt came home. So she does live-ins, so I barely see her, so it's like I see her in passing, I guess I could say. I don't see her too much. So Friday she came back home, but I didn't see her at all because I was at work, and when I came back home later that night, she wasn't there, so she probably came back home later on in the night. Saturday morning, I left for work early in the morning. I didn't say anything. I was just trying to limit conversations because I didn't want to know what she would say. It's just I wanted to start my day right, basically. Like, I don't need to hear something I don't want to hear. Saturday, I go to work. I come back home. I'm glossing over a lot of stuff. It's Saturday, I go to work. Work was very stressful. I wasn't even scheduled that day. As at this point, the last day that I had a day off was 9 days ago, something like that, or maybe it was 6 days ago. I don't know. I just kept working and working and working. I had barely any days off, which I did on purpose because somebody quit, and I wanted to get all these extra hours because I just saw the plus side to it with more money. My friend from Turkey is coming down in 3 weeks, so give me more spending money, etc. So Saturday, it kind of caught up to me, and I just called my manager over and said, I need to leave. And it was like, do you have to leave right now, or do I leave at this time? I was like, no, I need to leave right now. So I finished with a customer. I just grabbed all my stuff and just walked out that door. And I basically was trying to kill time at this point because I knew my aunt was most likely at home. So I didn't want to go home right away. So I went to somewhere that I like to go, Gillette Castle. It's like a 30-minute drive from where I was, which was perfect because it gave me enough time to listen to the music, listen to the radio, and just clear my mind a little bit and just drive. I mean, driving is definitely a good, like, self-care tactic, like and if you're not a good condition to drive, though, like, don't drive, but if you're in a good condition to, like, be able to focus and, pay attention and you don't have any, like, dark intentions, then yeah, driving is good. It's therapeutic. So I drove to Gillette Castle to the park. I basically just sat in my car for most of the time, but I did motivate myself to kind of walk around a bit, which I killed roughly 30 minutes there. And I was driving, it's just everything going on in the back of my head with just work, my aunt, like, what am I going home to, etc. So I basically went to like a parking lot and I called the suicide hotline because I wanted to make it a goal of mine to call them to have somebody to speak to, some like trained counselor to have in that moment somebody to speak to before I go home to the unknown. So I called suicide hotline, which I mean, it is good. It's 988. It's definitely a good resource out there for everyone in the United States. Definitely make use of it. It's free, 24/7, and they're all trained. So I talked to somebody there, and they're able to like highlight all the pluses that I've been taking in my life, and like with like all the stress, how I've been managing it, and just highlighting all the good that I've been doing, which made me feel good, and I'm glad that I did give them a call. So at that point, I didn't really know what else to do, and I was getting a little bored. And I was like, okay, maybe I could just go home. If she's there, I could just say I'm tired and go to my room and just relax. So I got home. She is no doubt there, and she's still referring to me by my dead name, which I no longer go by. And it's very dramatic in a way when you're stuck living the life of somebody you didn't feel connected to, and now you found yourself and you just want to move on and connect with your new life and move on. Just move on with your life and let go of the past and just keep creating yourself and who you want to be. So she keeps dead naming me. I do say that I'm tired. I go to my room. And it's like, I just kept thinking to myself, like, all this stress buildup. Like, if I stay here, what's that going to do for my mental health? Like, I mentally and emotionally cannot stay here because I've tried to have conversations with her before about, like, how to refer to me as, or like how I see myself and how I want to be perceived by others, but she never fully grasped that. So I didn't want to get into an argument about that at that moment. Like, I was in no mindset or emotional capabilities to get into an argument over that because that is very heavy to discuss and argue over, especially when somebody won't affirm what you're telling them and they just toss it to the side or say like, no, it's because of this, it's because of that, it's because of this. It's not okay, yeah, I get where you're coming from and I will try my best to accommodate. So I knew that I had to do something. So I looked up hotels. I found a nearby hotel and I booked 2 nights at that hotel. And I packed a little bag of stuff and I told my aunt, I said, I have to go run a few errands. I'll be back. So I got in my car and I go right to the hotel room, and that's where I stayed for the night. So I did let my brother-in-law know where I was, and my brother-in-law did mention it to my aunt. So my aunt did give me a call on Sunday morning about like trying to just starting to kind of grasp like how I felt emotionally, but she still didn't like fully grasp like everything. Like with the whole transgender thing and the gender dysphoria and just trying to like blame it on other things again without like saying, okay, yeah, I get that. So Sunday morning we chatted over the phone. She told me that she was going to be going on vacation for a while and that I would have the home to myself for a while so I could come back home. So I did debate in my hotel room for a while, like, should I just stay here for another day, another night, or should I go back home? And it's just thinking about it, thinking about it, thinking about it. And I was like, I think I'm going to go back home. And at this point, I also heard back from my therapist because Saturday I texted her asking her if we could meet sooner. So Sunday morning, I got a text from her saying, yes, we can meet at 1 o'clock today. So I left the hotel room at around like 10 a.m. to go back home. And my aunt was kind of sort of like trying to meet me halfway with the name thing. So she was like, I don't want to refer to you as Melody. How about this name instead? Which was the Italian word for song. I can't remember the word off the top of my head. I was like, okay, that seems fair enough. You know, you're starting to meet me halfway on that, so I'll take it. But, I had, I mean, everything was going good for the most part. Everything was good. Um, 12:30 came around, and I wanted some privacy with like my call with my therapist, so I could be as open as possible with like everything that's been going on just those past few days and everything that I've been feeling. So I got in my car, I just go to a park, and we just have a therapy session over the phone. And I was completely honest with everything that I was feeling. And, you know, she was concerned for me and she asked me, do you feel safe being alone? Like, if you go home tonight, do you feel safe being alone? And I said, no. No, I do not trust myself with me being alone. So she actually had the ambulance come for me. So when I got back home, I packed a bag and the ambulance came for me and I took a trip up to Middlesex Hospital, which is not fun. It's not not an experience I really want to go through. But took the ambulance up to the hospital, to the emergency room. Had to strip down, get into like a gown. They had to search like all your clothes to make sure that you don't have anything that you could harm yourself with. Search your bag, everything like that. Take your phone away, and you know, you're just in this gown and pants. And let me tell you, those gowns and pants only come in one size, and I'm very small. So my shirt was like literally down to almost my ankles, and my pants I literally had to hold up every time I walked, or else they were gonna fall down. So I got into all that fun stuff. I'm like in the waiting room, emergency room part, waiting for like a room, and then a room finally opens up. So I go down, get like wheelchair down to the ICU, and it's not a place that you want to go particularly. So basically, there's like all these rooms. They're all numbered 1 through 7, or it's like 1 through 10. And then there's two people at like at like a counter that is like completely blocked off. So there's two people there who are like can answer your questions or like get you snacks and stuff like that. Um, each room you basically just have a chair, a desk, a bed, and there is a TV. But there's not much. You don't have any phones, you don't have like your personal belongings. You basically just have the gown and pants. Um, yeah, it's not a fun place to be. Um, I definitely did not want to be there, but I felt like I needed something. Like, I needed some time away. So it's like, I kept thinking to myself, okay, so if I could be admitted, I'm going to stay here until like Wednesday. I'm going to stay here for as long as I can. So I was basically there from like 3 to 6. I think it was like around 6. And then around 6:30 the doctor comes in who like evaluates you. And I answered their questions honestly. And they told me like you could stay the night, but we can't admit you because you don't need the help. Like, sure, you have suicidal thoughts, but you don't exhibit like trying to act on it or plan it out or actually try to self harm yourself in any serious way. So, I got discharged. I actually also had to move out of the ICU for somebody else who needed it a lot more than I did. So I got wheelchaired back up to that ER waiting room for like at like 7:30. I had a book at this point because I was going insane. So I was reading that book. Just kept going through. I had to fill out some paperwork saying that yes, I want to be discharged, etc. One of the people there who's like the patient watcher or like somebody who like helps the patients was saying to me that was like 8 o'clock and I was like, I think I'm ready to go home. Like, I'm already discharged. I can't be admitted. There's no point of me being here right now. Like, I would rather just go home at this point. Like, I'll deal with my thoughts and myself later, but I'm just gonna go home. So I called my sister. I got right home. Well, I wanted to get right home, but instead she brought me to my parents' house. So my parents aren't either like they aren't the most like understanding of where I come from either. And the biggest thing that they kept saying was like, why are you purposely putting yourself through all this? Why are you purposely messing up your hormones when you could see like just all the negatives that are happening? And I think that that kind of speaks like some truth in a way. Like, I'm putting myself through all of this because I want to live my life how I see my life. Like, sure, I'm going through a lot, and I'm going through a lot of changes, and I'm getting like a lot more emotions than I really want to face. But like, I'm not doing this just for fun. Like, I'm doing this because I want to get to that point where I could be who I want to be. I want to get to that point where I'm happy with who I am. Like, it's not an easy path to take. And I think anybody could tell you that, like, this isn't an easy path to take. Like, if there were an easier way to do this, yeah, I would be all for that. But the easy way sometimes isn't an option. And the hard way is the only option to get to where you want to go. But just because it's difficult doesn't mean that you shouldn't continue down that path, especially when you feel like you're taking the right path. You're going the right direction. You're doing your best. You're doing everything that you can do to get yourself to where you'll be happier, to get to your happier place. So it's been stressful. It's been stressful, to say the least. I mean, I think that the one takeaway though is that it is difficult. It's not an easy path to take, and you do need lots of support around you. Friends, a therapist, make use of the suicide hotline when you need it. And I do want to say that the suicide hotline, I definitely can see myself making use of that a lot more. It's 988. It's free, toll free, 24/7. It's very valuable. And I will definitely make use of that again. Don't be ashamed to make use of it. It's a resource. That's all it is. It's just a resource for us to make use of. But I'm going to be meeting with my therapist again today at 1. I'm going to get into some support groups and just try to manage my stress more. And, I'm just going to keep taking it one day at a time with my family. I think that going to the hospital kind of had that negative effect that I was afraid would happen, where I go to the hospital to get help, which should be seen as something good because I didn't feel like myself, so I need to go get help. But they just see it as the negatives of you shouldn't be doing this to yourself. You're like mentally screwing yourself up and all this other nonsense that is just not true. It's never wrong to reach out for help or to get help if you feel like you need it. It shouldn't be something that you're shamed for. It should be something that, you're applauded for. And I spoke to the person in the ambulance, and they're very proud of me for getting that help. So there are good people out in this world, and they are out there, and it's just this experience. It was a positive experience. I mean, it's not something that you really want to go through, and it's something that I hope that I don't have to go through again. But it was very positive in ways where it's like people refer to me as I want to be referred to as, and it's just very welcoming when you have that affirmation. And it was a positive experience. I'll say that, but it's not an experience that I would want to live through again, and I don't think anybody should have to go through that unless you really, really need the help. So yeah, this was quite a bit of a long video, and I mean, I hope at least something I said it is positive or could help somebody out there. I mean, my takeaways on this are your feelings are valid. Reach out for help if you need it. If you don't feel like yourself, there are resources out there. Make use of 988, find a therapist, etc. Um, just try to take care of yourself. Self-care is very important. You don't know it, but you could be mentally burning yourself out and you won't feel it until later. So that's why you just have to take it slow and just think ahead. Like, maybe I should not be working 10 days in a row without a single day off. Because you know what? It's gonna come back and haunt you. It is. It might not be immediate, but it is going to come back and haunt you. So you just listen to your body, listen to your mind, and prioritize your mental health. Because if you're not mentally okay, or if worse comes to worse, if you're no longer here, then nothing else really matters. Like, money's not gonna do you any good. It's just, it's not. You need to be here. And you need to prioritize your mental health in order for that to happen. Because you don't want anything bad to happen to yourself. And I don't think anybody wants anything bad to happen to anyone. We all have good intentions deep down, even if it takes a bit for it to show. So start before I start to cry a bit, I'm going to end this video short. I'm just gonna say that I'm doing okay. I'm not doing perfect. I wish I were doing better right now, but I'm managing. And I'm going to just keep taking it one day at a time. I have 3 days off to focus on myself, and I'm going to do that. I'm going to prioritize my self-care. And I will catch you again in the next video.